secret? The secret is that it's all a secret. Everything in this stream is a secret. So there is no secret. Let me orient this a little bit differently. Oh, there we go. Oh, I didn't set the back LEDs yet. So let's do that real quick. Hey, Jeff Hammer is here. Awesome. Let's see, what should we do for background? We can do glitter, which doesn't show up. Okay. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, wait. Music's too loud. Music's too loud. Go down. There. Let's see. We can do meteor. Did it do it? Maybe. Maybe not. Meteor smooth. In red. It's too fast. It's not really showing up on camera, is it? Gradient color. There. Now we're meteoring. Okay, there. In red. Yes, we have a red meteor. We can bump up the brightness a bit. More trail. Okay, now we're meteoring in the background. That's good. Good evening, all. Let's see who was here first. Dutch Maker was here first with some ultra magic smoke. We'll see. Today, we're going to test prototypes, and one of them I haven't actually hooked up yet since I got it. The others I have played with a little bit, and most of the things are working. But today is about stress testing it until it breaks. So, yeah, I mean, I find that important to find the limits, basically. And often that's beyond the design parameters, as we'll call it. But yeah, anyway, this is the pre-stream, and I'm thirsty. So, I'm drinking today some Sprite lemon lime with 0 sugar, and some Fanta Zero, which doesn't have 0 sugar because it has 1.3 grams of sugar. So it's a brand or a marketing zero, while this zero is actually 0. Still don't quite understand why that's allowed, but okay. I guess that's the same thing as including a 16 amp fuse into something that will never be able to transport 16 amp, but at least you can say it has a fuse. Anyway, first, Draadstahl says, hit the like button. That would be appreciated. And he looked into the script, and there's all kinds of smoke, just not magic smoke. Or a nuclear explosion. Well, you never know. I mean, maybe at some point I accidentally designed a nuclear reactor and I didn't realize it. But I don't think so. But yeah. And Nigel Young is here. And Mikea 1821, another day in paradise. Nice. It's going to be good tonight with some smoke. And then, let's see. Omaka Vola is here. Music. Medved. Hey there. Showtime. Good evening, everyone. Kvik is back. What's the secret? Well, I just explained. Everything tonight is a secret. A lot of things haven't been shown yet, or at least not this iteration. So, secrets all night. It's been a while, Jeff Hammer. And hello, Quinn, Greg E, Clean SC. Sounds like the chances of smoke will be high. Well, if we're stress testing it until it breaks, there's a good chance it'll go up in smoke. I'm drinking Coke Zero. Ultra Fanta. Oh yeah, we haven't done an ultra drink in a while. Also like 0% alcohol, which is like 0.005. Well, at least 0.005 rounds up to like 0.001. 1.3 doesn't round down to 0. It's still more than 1% even, so... Glad I keep the name simple for it. Yeah, I'm not always too good with names. Guten Abend, says Marcus Rens. Had fun keeping up with the tariff news this week. I clocked out this week, man. It changes every day. And even by the time we ship it and it arrives, it's already changed. So I, I don't know. I don't know. So it could change while it's being shipped. So I must be a metric imperial conversion. Yeah, no. This is just marketing bullshit, Zero. And I mean, likely it's because there's real fewer sugar syrup or parts of it in there, and that those parts have sugar. But you should call it almost zero sugar. But I guess that doesn't do too well in marketing. But then you have two products, and this one says zero sugar, and this one says zero sugar, except only one of them actually has no sugar in it. It's just stupid. Anyway. I might go off on a few rants tonight. Who knows? What are you all drinking tonight? Oh, I actually found a way to get my thermal camera on screen. It's not the way I want to yet. Actually, we can play with that in the pre-stream to see if that's working. So, it's not here. Okay, I need to go here. Yeah. Let's turn the camera on. Oh, other button. Coca-Cola. Water. Oh, water's okay. I had some water earlier. Internal storage. No, I want... Oh, it reconnected? Okay. Let's see. I want to have... Okay, it's in projection mode. Good. So then if I enable this... Oh, does it work? No. Not yet. Do I need to select... let's do deactivate and activate. Oh, it seems to be updating. Okay, yeah. Can I look at my Coke can? Oh, wait. My macro lens is on there. So now let's focus on the Coke can. Yeah, zero sugar. Well, the Coke can is reflective, so that's not going to work really well, but it does see that it's 19 degrees. 20 degrees, because it came out of the fridge. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. What else is on my desk? That's my monitor. Oh, wait. Focus. Yeah, that's my monitor. You can see... can you see part of the chat? Oh, no, that's my USB hub over there. Okay. And then my monitor has a backlight in the bottom, it seems. Okay, clear. And then the other monitor, that's a much older one. It has one in the top and the side. Or on all sides, I don't know. And this one, let's see. Yeah, this one has the backlight on the left. And there's a switch there. At the wall. It's a SFP switch, but it has 10 gigabit copper SFPs in there, so it'll show up. You can clearly see that the SFPs are getting warm. Focus on that, yeah. So this SFP is hard time around 60 degrees, I'd say. That's fine. That's normal. Yeah. So this one isn't in use, and this one is. Cool. Okay. Well, this is at least a better way to get the thermal camera on screen until the wireless way works, which should work with this version, but so far it hasn't. But this is doable. Shutting down. Okay. Click. Cool. Okay. So we can use that for when we're overloading stuff, and you guys can see it together with me, because I'll be hiding behind the thermal camera. Until it explodes. No, I don't know. I don't think things will explode. So the thing is, if I designed my protections correctly, it won't explode. But if I didn't... Oh, there's already 76 people here. People show up and stuff's going to explode, huh? Okay. I need a mini fridge for in my office. No, that's not possible. There is no room for a mini fridge. There is nowhere for it to go. But in the new house, in the new office, I will have a mini fridge, I think. Just for some drinks and stuff like that. Thermal paste. Or soldering paste. You know. 76 people hoping you made a mistake with the designs. Well, you know, it sometimes it happens. That's why we test stuff. So, okay. That's why I test stuff. I have the suspicion that some other vendors don't do as much testing as I do. But that's my opinion. Little Papa John is here. I expect some magic smoke. Well, I can't make promises, but I did blow up an LED strip this week. So there's this on my desk still. This is a BTF lighting Cobb LED strip, 24 volt, addressable. Yeah, well, this label probably says it all. Blown up with 48 volts. I had my bench power supply set to 48 volts and I changed strips and then I just turned it on and it was like, what the hell is that strip doing? And I was looking and then I looked at the screen like 48 volts. Oh, okay, well those few seconds were enough to blow up like 1 meter of diodes, but surprisingly the chips on there still worked, so that was interesting. You are not the first and not the last. No, I bet. But it's good to show that I also make those kind of mistakes. It also keeps the AliExpress orders flowing, because, you know, I buy this amount of strip, and then people ask me, what do I do with it? Well, I just blow it up. No. Yeah, oops, absolutely. Okay, well, it's almost time, and then we'll start with the first thing. We'll actually do a poll what we're going to start with. But let me... I had some doors open and stuff, so let me close those first, because it was kind of warm here. And I'm back. How did the strip smell? It didn't actually smell that much. I think it was just some diodes that burned out, but they're really tiny, so yeah. Too bad LED strips don't have over voltage protection, says Joey, because I blew up a 5 volt strip of 12 volt. Yeah, they don't handle that too well. Oh, right, poll. So, let's make a poll. Start poll. And we can go 2 routes. We can do diff power testing first, or we can do dig next plus dig to analog testing first. And I can't promise we'll get to both. So we're just going to keep going, probably for about 2 hours in total, and then we'll see where we land. Yeah. So, yeah. Do we want to do diff power testing first, or do we want to test dig next, and then also dig to analog? How did this... Yeah. Evening all. SMD. What? Oh, dig next? I would actually have thought diff power would win. Because some people have been really anxious about the new, or wanting to learn about the new Diff-Power and prototypes and when it's going to come. And yeah, Germs, yeah, I agree, but the poll wins. So right now it's dig next. On dig next, we're going to do some fun things though. We're going to be, we're going to blow up some fuses, because that's always fun. See if that works. And then we're going to blow up, or try to blow up, or try not to blow up. I don't know what the goal is, but we're going to short circuit the data outputs with 12, 24, and 48 volts and see if it survives. Because in a normal controller, it will not survive. You should make this a dictatorship. Well, it is. What I say goes. But I don't make a poll to then just decide for myself. It doesn't work that way. Oh, I do have the wrong fuses in here. We could still do it, probably. Yeah, we can still do it. That's fine. We could just overload it beyond design. That's fine. No, yeah, but Diff-Power, we're also gonna do fun stuff. First, we're gonna try and hot plug it as long as it'll go. So Diff-Power runs over UTP cables, and we're just gonna keep plugging it until something breaks. Do you give them a good burial? No, I'm pretty bad at that. I generally put some red tape on it for later analysis, and then once the analysis is done, I mostly chuck it. I hope we get to see both too, but it depends on how long it takes. Otherwise, it just moves to another week. That's fine. Although there is going to be some interruptions in the coming weeks. I think I have a video for next week. But the week after that, I won't be in the country. And then a few weeks later, I also won't be in the country. So maybe some less content, but we'll see. The PC with the AIO is great. The performance uplift from going from Zen 3 5950X to a 9950X. It's not so much the total horsepower, because of course it's about twice as powerful. But if you're doing normal stuff, you don't really use that power. But it's the latency. The latency and the snappiness of the system is so much better, and that happened with the Zen 4 generation, and this is Zen 5. But the latency difference between Zen 3 and Zen 5, especially if you're like on 120 Hz or 230 Hz monitor and desktop, it's awesome. The snappiness is just great, and that's the biggest improvement, I think. Sure, if I'm doing a heavy task like video rendering or maybe even editing, etc., the extra horsepower comes into play, but it's the snappiness during normal day-to-day operations and things like that I notice the most. It's excellent. Queenbox next week. Yes, I think so. Back to China. One of the trips is actually going to China, yes. I'm going to dive into a testing lab to do lots of CE testing. Hopefully resolve this selling in EU thing. And then I'll be actually one of the first actually CE tested and certified controllers over here. Because a lot of other stuff has CE marks on there. But I, as a fact, know those can't pass CE. So, not if you do it correctly. Or UL or CSA for that matter. I mean, see these fuses on this board? Without those fuses, you will not pass CSA. But there's plenty of controllers being sold in America and Canada that have CSA certification, which don't have the fuses on there. Total bogus. You can't pass it. I've had boards pass CSA, so I know, but they just don't care. Or they do something stupid, like I started the video or the live stream with, they put a 16 amp fuse on there, while the PCB or the terminals can't even handle 16 amps. So if the fuse is the strongest thing on there and not the weakest component, well, something else will burn and break before the fuse does. But then the fuse is totally useless, except you're able to write on the box, has a fuse. But that's maybe my opinion, right? Hello, Dutch maker. Okay, let's stop the poll. Let's stop the poll. End poll. It's 64%. 63% for dig next, and then dig to analog testing first. And, well, if we still have time, we'll get to the diff power testing. The fuse will never blow. Well, I just don't understand the reasoning in doing that, except to lie to your customer, or I don't know, try to pull one over on your customer, because you won't get returns, because the fuse they use was actually a non-replaceable fuse, or they still use, by the way. So they have a non-replaceable fuse in a product, which would be stupid, of course, because the user can't replace the fuse. So you'd get returns of boards that have a blown fuse. But then if you make sure that the fuse can never blow, you won't get returns with a blown fuse, because, well, anything else will fail before the fuse blows. So, I don't know. It's just stupid. Man, no, we haven't started yet. Let's start. Let's go here. And, well, this is the newest prototype of the Dig Next. And if you compare the average WLED controller to this one, you'll notice there's a few more components on here. Like, the board is totally packed with components, instead of other, not naming anything here, boards you see which have the minimum amount of components on there versus a bare ESP. So let's do some specs then, I guess. We have 6.35 millimeter input terminals, so these are nice and large. You can get 10 gauge without a fuse in there, or 12 gauge with a fuse. So that allows you to actually have decently sized input wires to your giant PSU, right? Then we have a pluggable connector. Do I have some pluggable parts here? I don't know. I don't have a 4-way, but you can plug in one of these connectors. Those have 2 times ground and 2 times a button input, so you can connect external buttons. Then we have a special connector here, and I think I'll deliver that plug with the controller, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But this is a JST PHD. So it's a double height, and you can just plug in a cable other way around. Nope, I was right. Okay, plug in a cable like this, and this will get you a few extra GPIO pins, 3.3 volt and ground, for if you wish to connect all kinds of external accessories, extra buttons, or anything like that, right? So there isn't room to make actual terminals on there. So I think I'll deliver the cable with it, with some DuPont style crimps on there, so you can plug in external sensors or buttons or anything like that. No, the Dig2Go has an XH, because that needs to support 3 amps easily, and this doesn't need to support a high power load. I also didn't want to use a too small connector, and I like these PHD connectors, because this is a dual height connector. We also have a PH connector over here, and that is a dedicated relay output. So if you want to use a power supply relay on the AC side, you can just hook up this little cable, and you'll probably get the cable with the board. You wire it into your relay, you plug it into this port, bam, relay connected, done. The board will make sure that whatever voltage is coming in, and the board supports 5 volt up to 48 volt, and it has true 5 volt support, not fake like some others, and up to 48 volt support, that this port will always be sending 5 volt and a 5 volt trigger signal out. So even if you have 24 volt or 48 volt LEDs, you still get a 5 volt relay board, and that should work great. Oh, do I have the chat off? Thank you very much for reminding me, Edward. I probably disabled that at some point, but I don't remember when. So yeah, the easiest relay plug I could imagine is just this. Always 5 volt relay, whatever is coming in, plug it in, done. Relay works. Yeah, on the Dig Uno, you have to mess around with a lot more DuPont cables and custom wiring, things like that. This guy is just, well, you get the wires, and you just have to wire it into one of these modules, and it's done. Hey, Philip! Ah, okay. Thanks for stopping by, though. So, other features are fully custom DC-DC stage for actual 5 volt to 48 volt support. Actually, it's 4 volt to 48 volt support. And it will still output 5 volts. So that's all taken care of. Then we have a ESP32 with 8 megabytes of flash and 2 megabytes of PSRAM. So this takes into account the future a bit more, where WLEDs actually, especially if you want to run moon modules and things like that, growing beyond the 4 megabyte flash size. So we want to go 8 megabytes and 2 megabytes of PSRAM, so it has enough RAM to work with. It also has a digital microphone, yep, and it has built-in fuses, which are actually 5 volt to 48 volt compatible, and it has 3 power outputs and 2 data outputs. So it's kind of like a Dig Uno on steroids. It's kind of a Dig Uno / Dig Quad combination, and I see this as a controller you want to use to run like 10 meters of LED strip. So if you have 5 volt, you need a front, middle, and edge injection to run 10 meters or 32 feet. So the way this is configured, this one is 5 amps, this one is 10 amps, and this one is 5 amps. So you have your front, middle, and edge, and it'll come fused like that. Also with 3 terminals for the output. And that way you can always hook up a 10 meter strip with just a single controller. Are the windows 64-bit? What? Yes, well, the idea for this one, Willem, is that it will come with a custom designed plastic molded case, just like the Dig2Go, or at least in the same spirit of the Dig2Go. So a custom designed, fully custom, high quality plastic case. Yeah, it still has screw holes if you want to use the bare PCB and mount it. That's no problem too. It has a header for the my own temperature sensor if you want to use that. Still hasn't been released because of issues, but that's a different problem. Yeah, the out of focus is kind of out of whack. Where's the middle? Okay, the middle is here. There. It has a MOSFET per power output, although in this version they are all linked together. So if you turn on or off power, you can do so the external relay or the internal MOSFETs individually. But the internal MOSFETs, so all power channels, are linked together. In future products that might not be the case, but in this one it made the most sense in my opinion. So when you turn the LEDs off, even if you don't have an external relay, the board will still cut the positive side of the power to the LEDs. So the idle usage with this controller, well, it'll basically pay for itself, although it depends a little bit on the power supply you'll use. It supports 5, 12, 36, 40, and 5, 12, 24, 36, and 48 volt strips. Yeah, maybe it's in the wrong mode. No, it's in single shot mode. I'll try continuous mode, but generally that's not better. Okay, it has an output capacitor per output to stabilize power, and then it has nice big terminals, which should accommodate good sized wires. I believe up to 12 gauge or 14 gauge with a ferrule. I think 14 with a ferrule. And then, and that's something we're also going to test today, it has a fully redesigned custom level shifter output stage, which should be fully ESD and over voltage protected. So even when you're wiring things up while you have power applied, which is stupid, but lots of us do it, even if your 24 volt wire touches the data output, which is 5 volt, it shouldn't blow up the level shifter, and everything will just keep on functioning as normally. Or you have a lightning storm outside, it should also protect the whole board and everything for that coming back in. Stupid is, stupid does, yeah. So this is lots of features, but this video isn't so much about... actually I have one of the temperature sensors here. So in the future, you'll be able to buy this tiny little board from me. This is the Quinn LED I2C temp, blah. But yeah, it's not currently available. And you'll just be able to insert this into the board like so, to add it to the board, to have an internal temperature sensor. It won't come delivered with it, if you want to. Or you can use the I2C port over here to connect one, or this one, because it has the STEMMA QT connectors externally. This one has 2 data outputs and 3 power outputs. Although the power outputs are 2 times 5 amp and 1 times 8 amp. Now I have 2 boards on my desk and I don't know which is the recent one. Ah, okay. This one has different fuses in there. So I've blown up this one before. Good. Well, let's just blow it up. Right. So let's hook up the power supply. Now I need to see if this power supply is adequate enough. I think so. The problem with blowing fuses is if you don't have enough capacity, you'll actually wreck something else. So to blow a fuse, you need to go well beyond its rated limit, right? Sorry, I have a little bit of a throat frog. But if you don't have enough power to go beyond that limit, well, at some point, something else might break. What is the small connector on the output side? I think I just highlighted that. What? Hold on. Let me screw this in. You mean this guy? This is a STEMMA QT I2C connector. Of I2C. Yeah, I don't know, Philip. This just came up. I had lots of prototypes that need testing, so... Yeah, it has 2 data outputs, yes. Okay, so we have our power wires connected. Do we just want to short circuit it? Is that a good plan? So this also has improved terminals versus a Dig Uno or a Dig Quad. With a rising clamp terminal, so you can actually use it without ferrules. Still advise ferrules, but if you really want to, you can use it without. So this is a positive terminal. On the actual production boards, we will have color-coded terminals. Yes, there is some rudimentary reverse polarity protection in place on the outputs. On the input, it will likely blow the fuses. Yeah. So we also need a ground. So we're just going to dead short it, right? So let's dead short it to ground. Okay, so this is, of course, very stupid. We just wired... Likely, I feel a test is needed there. We have 3 times positive outputs over here, 3 times negative outputs over here, and 2 data connections in the middle. So I just shorted the top positive, which is this fuse, to one of the negatives. Negatives are all shared, so that's fine. I'm here before Johnny. Impossible. I don't know where Johnny is. Normally he's here for blowing stuff up. Okay, so, oh wait, maybe I should show it working first? I don't know. I already know it works. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, let's enable the power supply. Not turn it on yet. Let's turn on the thermal camera. Let's see, it should go into projection mode. Okay, I need to deactivate and activate again. Yes. And now I'm thinking, do I need my macro lens or not? It's pretty clear this is the board, right? We just want to see one of these fuses here. If I touch them, they light up. Okay, so we're setting the power supply to 5 volt, and the maximum it can do is 12 volt output. Now there is a 6.3 amp fuse in there. Normally there would be a 5 amp fuse in there, but Hey, you know. Um, so let me try and keep that steady. Also keep the wire in shot, maybe. Something like this. Oh wait, that's a snapshot. There. Okay, I'll try and keep that in the shot. So let's turn it on. Oh right, I forgot. I can't do it with this power supply. Oh. Yeah, no, I need to get a different power supply. My bench power supply has built-in current limiting when it detects a short. And normal power supplies don't. So, yeah, I need to get a different power supply. Okay. Did it get hot? No, not that much, I think. Oh, I did a little. No, maybe. I don't have the macro lens, so it's hard to see. Yeah, it got a little bit warm. Okay. Let me get a different power supply. Because this isn't fair. Normal power supply wouldn't current limit. Okay. Do I have a little block here? No. Let's see. We can use 12 volt. 12 volt's fine. How much amps is this? Should be enough amps. It got red. Okay, well, I'm not sure how hot it then got, but it's not always an issue. We'll see. IP20 rated, yes. This is not rated for water. Okay. I like having these beefy input terminals. You can even use the forks like I'm doing. Not sure I'd advise it for production usage. I don't know, but it's okay. I mean, it can't short circuit on anything. That's by design. So, yeah. Okay, now I need to find the power plug for this power supply. The 12 volt one. That is this guy. Okay, well this will activate as soon as I plug it in, or as soon as I turn on that socket. So let's get this situated again. Yeah, the board's likely still fine, even though it had the power limiting going on. So, yeah, this is a new dig board, yes. So I'm going to turn on the power supply. I'm going to try and keep this oriented the right way. There. Oh, okay, yeah. That's not exciting at all. So it has an LED for a few things. Let me run through those. It has an LED for power input through the main input terminals. It has a separate LED for power input through the USB. You can use those at the same time. Then it has an output for 5 volt that the board produces, and relay output, and enable outputs for these guys. But as you can see here, 5 amp 2 has failed, which is this guy. Yeah. Because, well, the fuse just blew. And that's it. It's done. Okay, but this had a... Let me show you. This had a 6.3 amp fuse. So, although it should be 5. But anyway, we can also try and blow this one, which has a 10 amp fuse. Okay, let's do that. Let's turn off the power. Or actually, let's not turn off the power. I need to look up which IP it got. Because one of the features of the board is that if I turn off in software the power, you see the relay output turn off, and these will fade out slowly because there's nothing connected to it. If there is something connected to it, they'll turn off instantly, but that's just how electronics work. So now that the power outputs are off and the power supply is still on, I'm just going to take this wire and I'm going to wire it to the middle terminal now, which has the 10 amp fuse. Okay, so now we have a loop wire between A ground, doesn't matter, and the middle terminal, which has a 10 amp fuse. We already blew up the first fuse, and now we're going to software enable this channel. And that's okay. Well, the board, of course, is now getting warm because it's on. So here we have our DC-DC converter. We have an LDO over here. We have the ESP, so that's getting a little bit warm. That's fine. 38 degrees. That's perfectly fine, right? So let me try and get you this shot there. So you can see the wire a little bit and the fuse. And we're just going to hit the power button in WLED. And I have a delay in there of about 1 second. And you'll see this one turn on and then the other channels. But it'll likely blow quickly. So let's see. On. What? Oh. Okay, hold on. Okay. On. Yeah, okay. Okay, that was so boring. Wow, okay. Yeah. Okay, now the 10 amp fuse is dead too. Yeah. Okay, I would have expected something to heat up. I mean... Yeah, no. Okay. Pull the fuse and put a wire there? No. No, that's not normal. Yeah, they seem to work as they should. Well, you know, that's the intention. So, I mean, yeah. Yeah, so anyway. Well, let's see if we broke it. Maybe we broke it. I don't know. Let's turn off the power. Okay. LEDs go off. Let's steal some boards of a previous prototype, which already has all kinds of random fuses in there. So there, we steal this one, 5 amp one. This is way too big. Okay. So we're going to steal a 5 amp fuse from here. And we're going to be putting it over here. But yeah, I'm cutting the positive, so there shouldn't be any problem doing this while it's live. So this one's dead. And we're going to be putting in this one. There. And then we're going to take this one out. And we're going to take a 10 amp fuse from here. And put it in there. There. These fuses can go. And we're going to remove the wire. We used to replace fuses with wires all the time. Yeah. Okay, let's remove the wire. Currently we're using a UHP 500-12. So 12 volt. Okay. So yeah, now we have no replaced fuses while the board was on, and no more short. So let's turn on the power. Okay, everything works again. That is awesome. Where did that relay go? I want to show the relay. It's fun. What? Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. No, I never did that, Philip. Okay, so if you want to connect the relay, like we talked about before, it's literally just wiring it up and plugging this in there. It has power, and if I hit the power button in WLED, relay turns on, done. So adding an external relay has never been easier, although the need for it is a lot less because we're using a modern way, not a relay, because that wouldn't work in my opinion, on the board to cut all the power to the LEDs, right? No, there wasn't any magic smoke yet, although we're doing all kinds of stuff to this controller while it's live. Yeah, so it has a very low idle usage, so you can use it in two ways. You can use main input power and just have an efficient power supply, so the LEDs will get cut off, so you don't even need a second power supply. Or you can use the USB input as a second power supply to keep the board alive, and then you can still use the DC cutoff or the AC cutoff if you really want to lower the power usage while idle. If you do power injection on output pins, how do you mean? How do you do that? If you wire a positive to a data channel, you mean? Because that is the next test we're doing, actually. We're going to wire a positive to a data channel, which you should never do, and then see what happens. So, everything, I don't even have to turn it off, because the output power to the positives is turned off right now. So I'm just going to jam this wire in here. On the outputs, yes. On the input, we'll test last. Because otherwise I have to get a new board. I don't know on the inputs, because it should be, but you never know, right? So yeah, we have a turned off positive here, and we'll connect it to this data output. How would you connect all the terminals together by accident, Philip? That doesn't make sense. But here we're going to see something light up. In theory, it should be. So we have a positive output, which is currently 12 volt, connected to a data output. That is bad. Chat is up for antics tonight. Yeah. So that is bad. That's bad. So let me focus this. So we have the wire here and then some board components. Let me hit power. Okay, power is on. And as you can see here, things are lighting up. Well, I can't get close enough. I need my macro lens. We'll just keep the short in place for now. So let's macro lens that. Oh, actually, I'm not sure this is going well. So you can see here that some components have lit up in the data output, right? So that doesn't look good. So the level shifter is 55 degrees. That's bad. And then some components over here are even warmer. So now let's say, oh no, there was a mistake. Let's turn off the power. Oh, I didn't turn off the power. Turn off. Yeah, well, the channel that has something connected is immediately off, so that's good. Now, I actually haven't tested this with 12 volt yet. I have tested it with 24 volt, and that worked okay. We have some 12 volt addressable SK6812 here, so that's good. That's 12 volt. Oh, I have some cobwebs. Go away. There. Okay, let's get a connector. Should I have this connector? Yes. That is true, Philip. I don't know. It goes against my nature, okay? Okay, some 12 volt SK6812. Let's wire this plug in here. We'll wire it to this one. Oh. Stupid antenna. Okay. And wires. Oh! I think I know why I didn't have a great signal. I just destroyed this antenna. Damn it. Okay. Let's see how well the range is with just a wire. Yeah, again, this should come in a very nice custom case. And I still don't advise working on it with the power applied like I'm doing right now. But in theory, nothing bad can happen. Your 48 volt prototypes are very sensitive with hot plugging. Yes, 48 volts and hot plugging. Well, if we do diff power, that's certainly something we'll be testing. Yes, things will die quickly. Well, let's see if we killed the data output, because I didn't expect the level shifter to light up like that, because it didn't in previous tests, so that's bad. Okay, let's connect this, and let's do some LED configurations. Oh, it's already set to SK6812? Yeah. Okay, let's try it. We have 12 volt power. These are 12 volt. Good. Power. Okay. No problem. Blends. Yep. So it's still addressing. These are per 3, so that's normal. This is running WLED, but it can also run ESP Home if you want. That's fine. Breaking the antenna connector doesn't count. No, well, I guess, I mean, I still have signal, so we'll leave it for now, but this is not the way it's supposed to work. But yeah, this seems to work. Let's see, solid. Let's go to red, but the color order is wrong. Don't pay attention to that. So this is red, green, blue, I don't know, some other blend. Let's do some BPM. Yeah, this is very visible. So even though we had 12 volt direct short to the data connection, still seems to work. So this is a custom protection I built for ESD and over voltage events. So that, you know, even if something does happen, the board will try and protect itself. And it seems to have done so. Now, of course, it's boring to do that with 12 volt. So I've already done tests with 24 volts, and it survived that. So let's do a test with 48 volt. Because I don't know if it'll survive that. I think so. I think it'll survive, but I'm not sure. So, and after that, we can try a short circuit on the input. Although we'll probably use the 12 volt power supply for that again, because otherwise it's current limiting and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I need a different wire. I need this wire. No. Now, I can tell you, you can do this on any of the controllers that are currently out there, what we just did, and it will die. 100%, including mine. If you short circuit 48 volt or even 24 or 12 volt on a data output, you will kill the level shifter. 100% guarantee. And that's also one of the things we often see on the Discord server, is where people have one or more dead LED channels. Now, some might have been ESD events like lightning close by and things like that. Some other times I think they might have done that accidentally by themselves, and they want warranty for that. Yeah, no. But this is supposed to be a more commercial solutions than the DIY, Dig Uno, Dig Quad, etc. So if I can protect for it and raise the price by like half a buck or a buck, in this case, I think that's a better investment. And, you know, most people can appreciate extra protections that won't go up in fire, but, you know, protect the board and protect your house. Or wherever the thing's located. A lot of people locate these in their attic. Well, yeah. You don't want to have it go up in smoke over there. Let's see. Positive. So let's use the 5 amp channel again. I know. At some point, something will break, and then I'll cry. But you know, do you guys want to make me cry? Is that what you want? No. Well, I might cry, and then I'll design a solution against it. Then I don't have to cry anymore. Ooh, that's good. Yes. Cry and then fix it. I know. We're going to do the reverse input polarity test later, and I don't actually know how that will react. I think it will be fine. But yes. Fire and Quindo crying would be like Christmas. What? What do you mean? Okay. So let's first do a 48 volt test with, it working. Let's see, something like that. This is correctly hooked up, so let's see, VSET 48. Okay. So we have 48 volt lights. The color order is wrong, but I should be able to go here. Let's see, go red, blue, green. The color order is wrong, but the LEDs are responding, like we'd expect. And they do nicely color change and blah, blah, blah. So these are 48 volt LEDs. And the MOSFET or the on-off circuit still works. So it works with 5, 12, 24, 36, or 48 volts. We can still turn those on and off. You won't be able to do that with a relay. It'll melt. Stream frozen or my shitty... is the stream frozen? I don't think so. On my side, everything looks good. Yeah, I know, Philip. I know I disappoint. Not frozen. Okay. So, even the on-off circuit still works with 48 volt, which took some doing. So that's good. Okay, and, color order changing, blah, blah, blah. All works great. So now let's turn it off again. Do we want to... See, I'm afraid if I short it while the LEDs are still connected, it'll... it'll kill the LEDs instead of the controller. I'm not sure that's fair. So I'm going to disconnect the LEDs, but I can do that. No, I need the data wire. Okay, I'm going to disconnect the LEDs because we want to check the controller, not the LEDs. Right? Oh, my thermal camera just turned off. So we'll have to turn that on first. Okay, no LEDs connected. We're going to take our crosswire here. We're going to take a 5 amp positive output. And we're going to short this LED output. Yes, no. I know to wear safety glasses. They hurt my ears with the headphones on, and it sucks, and they fog up, and whatever. Wear your damn safety glasses. Okay, so this wire is fully connected. It's connected to the first LED output again. The power supply is set to 48 volt with 5 amps. Now let me boot up the thermal camera again quickly. Let's see, deactivate, activate. I think that's correct. Let me check. Yes. So it's currently in macro mode. So I should be able to see the components. Oh, no. Well, that's a bit much macro, man. Oh, okay. Okay, I should be able to see the components, but I need to reorient the board. Because the level shifters are over there. Okay, so down here you can see the level shifters, and then going forward there's the components and the capacitor, things like that. I know I'm blocking the view a little bit, but oh wait, I already turned it on. Oh, of course it's on. Yeah, sorry. I need to hit the power button in WLED. Okay, I'll try and do it like... No, I need to go from this way. Okay, losing the macro lens. Then I should be able to stay further away. Focus on there. Yes. Good. Okay, let's hit power. Go. Okay, we see some components lighting up over there. Let's leave it like this. It's currently drawing 3.36 watts. And we have some really warm components over here. This one is hitting 80 degrees. And then we have this resistor behind here that's hitting 42 degrees. And the level shifter did heat up, but it's already cooled down to now 39 degrees. And the other one is like 38 degrees. And mind you, it's still having 48 volt on there, right? So it has a dead short to 48 volt. Okay, let's softer turn the power off again. Okay, channel goes off. This one's slower because there's nothing connected, but it will bleed off basically. It's because of the large capacitors on there, that when you turn off power, it's not immediately gone because the capacitor needs to be discharged. But of course, during normal operation, the capacitor makes sure your power supply has an easier time and the LEDs run correctly, etc. Okay, let's 48 volt over here. Now, do we want to bet if this worked or not? Because, well... Dutch Maker can also tell you, if you put 48 volt on something that's not made for it, or, you know, hot plug it, it will die. Pull. No, I don't think we need a pull. It'll take too long. Oh, awesome to hear, Greg. Yes, I am switching the positive outputs on the channels on and off using MOSFETs. Yeah. So, okay, let's put this on the screen again. I have no idea. I haven't tested this part yet, so I don't know if it'll work or not. I'm finding out together with you guys. Power. Yeah, it's still blinking like it did before. Now I can tell you, this is one of the only WLED controller in existence that will do this, that will survive this. If you do this with a normal controller, well, A, they don't handle 48 volts, and B, your level shifter will die, and if you're unlucky, your ESP will also die, and then if you're more unlucky, it'll go back to your power supply and it'll go up in flames, or the board will go up in flames. But yeah. No, Willem, that is not 48 volt. It indeed goes up to near 60 volts. Most of my components on there will handle that, but I think the DC-DC stage will die. And the LEDs you'll connect also expect actual 48 volt, and if you go beyond 50 volt, they will probably also die. So that is absolutely not recommended. You need to have a stabilized output voltage, or a buck converted output voltage, or whatever, from a battery system. Yeah, no, just get a buck converted to like 48 volts, or 24 volts or 12 or 5 or whatever, and then it's fine. Because the buck converter can have a varying input, that's no problem. I can even link you buck converters that will work with that just fine, with those voltage ranges. Ask me on the Discord. Yeah, that's fine. That will work great. Yeah, so, yeah, that works. It's still blinky. Blinky, blinky, solid, red, well, green, red, blue, yeah. So, yeah, shorting the data output with 48 volt, no problem. Well, I still wouldn't recommend it. But I'm hoping this will give me less warranty claims of people who either blew up their output port or it indeed was an ESD event that blew up their output port. Yeah, in both cases, now it should stay alive. So yeah, yeah, let's turn that off. Let's turn the power supply off. We wanted to short circuit the input. Well, I didn't want to short circuit the input, but some people wanted to short circuit the input. Okay. I was going to use this board for the dig to analog also, because that's a prototype I have in, or it's actually a production version I have in, but I haven't hooked them up and tested them yet. The dig to analog plus. So 48 volt can go. Now, if I would be unfair, I would keep this connected to the bench power supply of Dutch Maker's Going to Sleep. Okay. Which is current limited. But I will disconnect it from the bench power supply. This is 48 volt DC. It's all DC, not AC. I will disconnect from the bench power supply and we'll take the 12 volt UHP 500 again. So that can deliver a lot of amps. And I don't actually know what will happen. It might actually pop a capacitor, for instance. I think that's the worst that will happen, but yeah. You're not going to stay for the reverse input test. You guys asked for it. Wait, no, I hooked it up the right way. Damn it. Well, you can always look at it later, Philip and Dutch Maker. Good night. Oh, okay, after that. Okay. So now we have the positive on the wrong terminal and the negative on the wrong terminal. Sparks to dream about, yes. Okay, positive on the wrong terminal, negative on the wrong terminal. We're on a UHP 500-12, so that can deliver, I don't know, 500. That can deliver 41 amps. So if it's going to short circuit, it's going to short circuit pretty good. And I don't actually know what will happen. Either nothing is going to happen, so fuses won't pop, everything will stay alive. We're going to do the test with nothing connected on the outputs first. But maybe the DC stage will just blow or burn. I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe one of the caps will pop. Yeah, I honestly don't know. So, in this design. So, ow. Okay, I've secured the safety glasses to my face with my headphones. I need to find the right power cable again. I think it's this one. Okay, we want no macro. No, the Wi-Fi antenna, don't care. Why are the caps warm? What? Is that just reflection, or are the capacitors warm? No, that's just reflection. I don't know. Okay, this is a pretty good view. The top camera has a fair view. I don't want to limit it too much by zooming in. So, yeah. go. Oh, okay, yep. Some stuff broke. Okay, something is still 150 degrees. Okay. Let's turn that off. Now, what blew? That is the interesting part. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. I figured. The DC-DC converter is not happy. So you can still see some residual heat here. And I think there was some other stuff that blew too. You can finally sleep, Philip. So if we look at the board. Hold on. Let's see if it'll focus on that. Come on. There. You can see that this DC-DC converter over here, I'm trying to hit it with the light, that isn't happy. Right? There you can clearly see the burn mark in there. And then I think I saw some hot spots over here too. I'd actually have to look in the replay of things getting warm. But it was the DC-DC converter that failed. First night in months I'll sleep well. Yeah, I can imagine. Now I wonder if the board is still alive and if replacing the DC-DC converter would actually be enough. In this board, it's different than on my other boards, the USB input is routed differently than the main input. So I'm going to put in a USB-C, and I'm going to take a close look at how much power that's drawing. Okay, that's not drawing too much power. Okay, so it's now receiving power from USB, which bypasses the DC-DC converter, and I can see that the 3.3 volts is online, so the ESP is probably online too. We can see that all fuses are blown, but can I still reach WLED? Yes, I can reach WLED. So most of the controller is actually still alive. It's just this DC-DC converter, which is very unhappy. Yeah, but I can still reach WLED. I can't show you any output because the USB-C is only used for board power and not output power. Actually, I don't I'm not 100% sure the fuses are blown. Let's disconnect it. Okay, we at least know that the ESP is still alive. No, I'm not crying yet, don't worry. Yeah, the red LED indicates that the fuse is blown, except in the case I just did, where you only have USB input and no outputs connected and no second power supply connected. Because in that case the circuit works differently, and then it will show blown fuses while they're not actually blown. So we need to test with the main power supply hooked up correctly. That's just... oh, wait. Why is this not working? What? Did I destroy my terminal? No, it made me cough though. Okay, yeah. If the DC-DC converter still works at the chip, I would be very impressed. Yes. Okay, why is this so loose? I don't understand. Did I wreck the terminal? Or did the terminal wreck itself? It still works. Is it? No. What? I'm confused. Did this melt? No. Break? Maybe. I'm confused. I mean, I don't see anything. Oh, ow. Hold on. I think there was something sharp on my disc. And often when something stings me, I'll take a very sticky tape and I'll roll it in there and try to yank it out. Okay. And there could be metal shards on this disc sometimes, so you know. I don't know why the terminal, because this one is stuck properly, but I'm not sure why this one. Maybe I should close it first. It's not closing. Reverse polarity on the input is a lot more difficult, Gary, because when the reverse polarity is working correctly, all power is passing through it. So that means in this case, it needs to handle 20 amps continuously, at least, for that to work. And that, okay, I think closing it without the fork in there, kind of fixed it, so that's good. So that would require a pretty hefty circuit, and that would also have to work for 5 volt to 48 volt, which is again more complicated, and it would require a lot of board space and also a lot of heat sinking and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's kind of technically prohibitive. It would raise cost quite a bit and would also make the board bigger. So my opinion on that is, as long as it's safe, so that it doesn't, burst into flames, it's not needed on the inputs, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, no, the fuse and the diodes are already there, because there is an input fuse here. So this is an auto reset fuse for 1.5 amps. And then you say, oh, well, why don't you use 300 milliamps? Well, that's because it needs to support 5 volt to 48 volt. Yeah. A bridge rectifier, maybe, but still it would need to pass 20 amps. Some automotive IC, but pricey. Yeah. So I could also use a DC converter, which has a better reverse polarity protection built in. But again, then that again raises prices, and ICs that do that easily cost a few dollars a piece. So yeah, sure, Arnold, but yeah, a fuse that has 20 amps potentially going through it in a good situation would have 30 to 40 amps going through it in a bad situation, and then the usefulness of the fuse is almost none, because in a lot of cases the power supply connected to it won't have 60 plus amps. So if the power supply cannot over deliver the fuse by X amount, so two times, 3 times, it basically becomes a useless thing, useless protection. So if then someone would hook up the board to a 10 amp power supply, which is feasible, 10 amp 24 volt, feasible power supply to use for this board, it would do nothing. It would just, it would just burn in the same way it just did. Well, Willem, I am all for protections. This board has a lot of protections on there. You saw on the outputs, we could do anything we wanted. It's still not dead, right? It's even still functioning next to protecting you. But there is I can design it so that even with a low power supply, it won't blow up anymore. But is that worth $5 or $10 extra per board and it becoming bigger. Yeah, that's always the choice. And the rudimentary circuits, like a fuse plus a diode, will not protect it in 90+% of the cases that it's going to be used in. So in the use cases. So yeah, so you can have a different opinion on that. I would understand that, actually. I wish I could do it differently. I might still, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's difficult. It's all decisions, right? I mean, this board is, you know, could be $29.99, and would then be, I don't know, if we do all those kinds of things, $59.99. Well, then it's 5 or 6 times more expensive than a competitor, and then the end result is likely they're going to buy the competitor, even though that board will burn and go up in smoke. So, well, sure, Rob, that is already the idea, but I think input fusing is less important than output fusing. But yeah. Oh, you'd have to you'd have to scroll back a little bit, Brendan. I did a whole deep dive in features and changes and things like that for this board. So, okay, let's take a look with the thermal camera with USB again. Now that the input power is connected, although it's turned off. Okay, still same result. So let's turn on the normal power supply. Why didn't the PSU protect it? Because it's a 40 amp PSU. Well, Mike, sure, but if you're building protections and redundancies for any case imaginable, you'll be paying, I don't know, $100 for a controller for edge cases that almost never happen, right? I mean, yeah. So let's turn on power. Oh, it's not happy. Yeah, no, that DC converter looks pretty bad. But let's actually stay like this. Okay, it's drawing 5 watts. Now let's see what happens. Is anything else on the board getting warm? So the input fuse isn't getting warm. Okay. The rest of the board is off. Yeah, okay. Let's leave it at that for now. I completely skipped over Little Papa John's. Thanks for the smoke donation there. Thank you very much for the €11. That's very much appreciated. Well, sure, Mike. Absolutely agree on there. All these things are decisions, of course. And I'm not 100% sure yet which way I'll go. I want to deliver a safe product, that's for sure. But there are limits. If adding reverse input protection would cost, I don't know, $10 per board, I don't know if it's worth it, right? Most products don't have input protection. So, yeah. And I can much faster see something going wrong on the output side, something failing, short-circuiting, rain, getting wet, whatever, right? On the output side, on the LEDs, power injection, solder too close together, joints touched, I don't know. Those kind of things, those are happen much more often than hooking up the inputs reversed and killing the board. Well, then you know what happened, and as long as it's safe, it's probably going to be my choice, but I can understand different viewpoints in that. Idiot-proof is safe product, yes, but idiot-proof and priced 5 times as much as competitors is no product. Yeah. Okay, I don't know how long my rant has gone on, but for now, this seems fine. And again, there is a fuse in front of it, right? So even if it starts drawing unlimited amounts of power, it will be stopped. It will be, the fuse will close, and that's it. Yeah. No worry, Mike. I mean, I value opinions. That's why I partly do these streams, show this stuff, and discuss these things. I mean, we're all entitled to an opinion. In the end, I'm making the product, so I do the decisions. But I do take you guys' opinions and questions and desires and wishes and features into account, of course. I mean, yeah. Yes, so Gary, I wish I could do color-coded input terminals. There will be color-coded output terminals. So red, probably green this time, not blue. And then either white or black for ground. I think black, I like black better. The input terminal, though, will be orange, I think. And then, since this will have a case around it, the case will have very clear denominations, what is positive and what is negative. Maybe even with a red and a white or black stripe. But I'm not 100% sure I can do that cost effectively, so I don't know yet. Yeah. But it will be very clear what is what. Well, Arnold, yes, that will work as long as the amperage is low enough. If it's too high, like on this PSU, it still will do nothing. The idiots will always find a way. Yeah, yeah. Do we want to replace the chip? We could, but then we won't have time to test anything else anymore today. Yeah. And it's going to be a hard replacement. I'm going to burn this thing to hell, because this is made with production level high temp solder. But I could try. But anyway, this has been a few minutes now, and it's been short-circuited all that time. I would say this is at least safe, right? Because this power supply will deliver unlimited amps into anything but a dead short. But then the dead short needs to be so strong that it overcurrents. And, well, as long as the short doesn't overcurrent, it's not going to turn off the power. So. In the new world, will still be expensive. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll probably do that myself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll probably replace it and see if it works again. Still, it's not a user-replaceable part, really, because these are really, really tiny parts, and you need to have a little bit of soldering skill to be able to replace that. Anyway, I'm going to turn off the power supply now. I think I've proven that it's safe. Okay. Now, yeah, do we want to replace it? I'm not against that. It's actually interesting. Or do we want to move on? Do I want to replace? I kind of want to replace it, but I'll leave it up to you guys. Let's make a poll. Start poll. Replace. Move on. And I can have a little drink. Yeah, so I'm going to get my red tape again. Next we could do the dig to analog, because that's a new prototype I haven't tested yet. Or we could do Diff-Power. Or the dig to analog plus, actually. So that's what I usually do. I wrap it in red tape. So I know something's wrong with it, because I too often have something on my desk that isn't working. And then I make a little label, blown DC. There. Blown DC DC. So I can, you know, can fix that sometime later. See how it goes. Let's give it one more minute, and then we'll end the poll, although it's stuck at 79% for moving on. Sorry, that's good. Yep, ask me on Discord. I should auction off that board. No, it's okay. Yeah, okay, I'm going to end the poll. It's at 81% for moving on. Okay, that's pretty clear. But then I'm going to do another poll. Start poll. Hold on. Damn it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start a poll because I'm just genuinely interested in this. Answer honestly. If you buy a product and, well, I'll clearly list that it will be safe. Okay, it will be safe during reverse polarity input, but it could die. So answer me honestly. Should the product always, whatever you try and do, survive? Or is a reverse polarity on the input and then applying power a user error and move on? You did stupid, buy a new one. Yeah. Because it will significantly influence the cost to have a proper reverse polarity input circuit. It's just not as easy on products that are designed to handle 20 amps, because everything is designed to handle a large load. So a reverse polarity protection that might work on your sensor or your ESP board or whatever, that's easy, because it's you know, it's never going to draw more than 1 amp and it's always 5 volt, etc., etc. But a board that is designed for 5 to 48 volt and 20 amps of output, that's a whole different circuit. So yeah, the diode is there, Christian. That won't fix anything. It needs a proper reverse polarity protection circuit on the input. A diode won't fix it. It might fix it on a 1 amp product. But not on a 20 amp product. I'm going to take this off a little bit. Whoa. You did miss the magic smoke there, Alexander. I have the magic smoke throat. But, I mean, give me your honest answer. I mean, that's why I'm doing the poll. You can do it anonymously. That's fine. I really want to know. I mean, yeah. No, most products, also commercial products, will die if you reverse polarity. Absolutely. .20 amp, well, it has two 5 amp fuses and a 10 amp fuse, so the obvious rating would be 20 amp. Whoa, I'm not sure I'm big enough for that, Rob. Replacements cost me a lot of money. Basically, well, it's not the same amount of money I sell them for, but it's not that much different. Especially because the shipping is the same. Yeah. Well, Jim, you can already do that. You'll just need extra buck converters externally. Then it's fine. Or you need Diff-Power. But the voting was for dig to analog, so we're going to look at that first. Where are they? They were over here, I think. Okay, let's start taking a look. Oh wait, I need to end the poll. End poll. So 82% says if safe and dies, user error, and 17% says should survive even if $20 and making it more expensive and bigger. So okay, that's a clear vote. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think that's a fair point too, Robert. If indeed you're prone to making mistakes, have a spare. I mean, that would almost be as expensive as having it built in. Cool, Alexander. Cool. You can make clips of it, I believe. So I'm actually unpacking these for the first time. I've not looked at them at all. I don't even think I cut one open to look at it, but I haven't turned them on yet. So this is a dig to analog plus. I'm moving on from the previous topic. The Plus does a few things differently than the current dig to analog. First off, it has 5 output channels instead of 4. So it can do RGB CCT, so RGB plus dual white. Okay, so 4 to 5 output channels. Then it is 12 volt to 48 volt compatible instead of 12 volt and 24 volt compatible. Then it raises the PWM frequency on the output from 2 kilohertz to 4 kilohertz. So it has a double the high PWM frequency. And then it raises the total board capacity. Currently there is a 6.3 amp fuse in there. You can see also max fuse 6.3 amp. So the total board power is raised from 3 amp or 6 with an additional fuse you could solder on the original one to having a socketed fuse with a 6.3 amp fuse in there. And then the outputs have also been upgraded. RGB are still limited to 3 amps, or you shouldn't drive them more than 3 amps. But the dual whites can each do 5 amp. So those have gotten a higher output power limit. Right? Other things have stayed the same, so you still have the input-output switching. Oh, another improvement this one has over the original dig to analog is that I've tried to sound isolate this design to minimize the PWM noise as much as possible. So that's why you also see these funky capacitors here and things like that. That is to minimize the audible noise of PWM dimming if you do it under 20 kilohertz. But other than that, input-output, still input terminals and output terminals, power injection terminal. These are all not fused, so it's expected that whatever is delivering the power, be it a dig next or a dig octa or a dig quad or whatever, has output fuses. And then from this point forward, the output to the LED strip is fused. Okay, so if anything goes wrong on this side, that is protected by this board, which, you know, it's delivering the power. So, okay. if anything goes wrong on this side, well, not all power will be traveling through this board if you have power injections and power going in and out and multiple boards in a chain, etc., etc. So whatever is feeding that chain should have protection there. And all of my boards do, of course. So, yeah. Yeah, so this is a Dig to Analog Plus. Okay, so let's unpack, let's say 2. And build them up and test them. Now, I mean, coming back on the whole wiring discussion, I wish I could implement all protections possible, but it's just a matter of cost, right? My controllers are already more expensive than the competitors out there. They, for certain, don't do any protection. They don't do fuses. They don't do... Well, they have no protection whatsoever, and that's why they're so cheap. So, I mean, yeah, if you don't want protection anyway, buy their controllers, because they will happily burn up completely. Everything, anything. And, I mean... This is not... I want to protect to have these things running 24 hours a day. So if anything after the controller goes wrong, I want the controller to react to that. But if you're hooking it up and turn it on, well, you're right there, right? So if anything goes wrong, you can turn off the power, done. If you don't care about that, you can get cheaper controllers which don't have any protection at all, and then if something shorts or an LED dies or some solder joint, whatever, it'll just burn down. That's fine. If that's what you want, right? That's fine. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll remove the thermal camera. Beam. So yeah, I mean that's of course the consumer's choice, and I feel that having input protection, which is only important when you're hooking it up, and you can only make the mistake once. I don't think that's worth the money. It's my opinion. You can design and build your controller if you want that, or buy a controller that has that. To my knowledge, none that exist do. So yeah. I don't know what Gled Opto has. I think they have MOSFETs. I'm not 100% sure. And it also depends on which version you got. So, if Jim, that's a good question. If you need lots of analog output channels, this will basically get you 5 analog output channels per board, and you can daisy chain the board up to, like, I don't know, 500. So that will give you 500 times 5 output channels. So let's say you wanted to have 1 or 2 meter bars of RGB-CCT, and you don't need all the LEDs to be addressable, but you do want 100 of those bars, right? And you do want each bar to be addressable. Well, then you can use such a board to make each of those 1 or 2 meter bars or sections or whatever addressable with analog LEDs. For instance, or you want to do a stairway and you want each stair addressable, or you want to do house lighting. There's all kinds of various scenarios. Analog boards, the analog boards I make are better at delivering more power, higher PWM frequencies, smoother fading, because they can do like higher bits instead of 8-bit like this one. Yeah, so there's trade-offs, but if you need lots of analog channels, this is a very easy solution. Or if you, for instance, have one of those strips which has digital addressable RGB, but then static PWM white, you can just add one of these boards to your digital controller, and you can control some analog LEDs. Or you want high quality whites, you already have a bunch of digital controllers, and you don't want to buy an extra controller to, you know, have a very good quality white somewhere, even up to 5 amps with this one. Yeah, you can just add one of these boards to your existing setup, make it a different segment, and voila, you're done. Yes, this is a single pixel, but the idea is that you can daisy chain them, like that, up to about 500 boards, and then each will be their individual pixel. MOSFET it is, yeah. It's a quite new one. Okay, yeah, I don't like those level shifters. They're not great. As you've noticed, I've been working on a new level shifter type circuit, which doesn't need a dip switch to select the resistance. It should be even more EMI compliant than my others already were, and it has all kinds of protections built in, so it should be the best level shifter on the market. But yeah, let me get something, because I forgot, which is the cases for these. Whoa! All kinds of cases! I just explained a lot of features. They can handle more amps per board, per channel, replaceable fuses, higher PWM frequency, more channels, all those things. So, I'm not sure. There's multiple versions of the case. I believe these are slightly older versions already. I think this is one of the newest versions. Maybe this is an older version for sure. And these, yeah, okay. We'll take a look at the black and white one. So these are 3D printable cases, which I'll just make the files available, and they have some alignment stubs in there. So it just should, other way around. It should easily slot in like that, and then close up like so. So these have also been designed with cases in mind. There's clear labeling for plus and minus here, for instance, because this output isn't available on the, or the labeling isn't available on the outside. For the other outputs or inputs rather, you can do it. Camera, don't let me down. Okay, for the others, I'm using my lip PCB I've used before. So the PCB is clear labels for plus, data, and minus on the input, output, or if you reverse it, same thing. And then on this side, we clearly have the plus labeled RGB, warm 1 and white 1 and white 2, right? And you can access the screw terminals from outside. So yeah, these cases files will of course be available for free, and should be pretty easy to use if you have a 3D printer. If you do not have a 3D printer, at some point I might still make them available. I need to open these terminals. Pre-printed, but it's been a bit hard to set up, also with shipping again and things like that. But you could always send a file to one of the public 3D printers, and ask them to print it, it'll still cost you like $1 or $2 per print, but you should get professionally designed high quality housings and not some, you know, cheap 3D print. DIN rail mounting. I have taken into account that you might want to strap it to something. So these ears here, I might have shown this one. These ears are made so you can put a Velcro. Let me get one. These ears should fit a Velcro nicely. Oh, okay. I didn't think about that if you have power injection terminals. The Velcro location could be better. Anyway, yeah, you can just do it like that. Okay, I might need to think these Velcro locations. I didn't anticipate that they would be in front of the terminals. So this one should move over there, and this one should move over there, and then that should be fixed. Okay, that is a stupid oversight. Anyway, you can then strap it down to something with a little Velcro tape. That's fine. Or, and that's why they're shaped like this, you can put a screw in here, put a screw in here, and screw it down, right? Or just, you know, leave it like this. That is all an option. Now I need to make a quick note for myself, because otherwise I'll forget. Let's see here. Dig the analog. Come on. To do. Case. Move Velcro strap locations not in front of terminals. Save. Yes. Good. Feed down and under. Sure, yeah, that's of course possible. Yeah. Of course, but I mean, I agree, it's still workable, but if I move this over here and move this over there, it'll allow more options without extra cost, right? When available, these are production boards, so if the testing goes correctly today, I'm hoping to make them available somewhere in the next few months. Currently pretty busy with all kinds of things, so I'm not sure I'll be able to release these soon, or at least not a full release, but I will be working on it. Okay, now we need a controller, and we just blew up our controller. So I'll take this one, I guess. Where is my antenna? Oh, I need to take the antenna wire thingy off of this one. Although, it's, you know, still better than no antenna. There, it's got antenna. Oh, I stole the fuses too. Well, we still have one fuse, that's fine. We have a 5 amp fuse, okay. You need 4, nice. Okay, that's good to hear. But then you'd cover the vent holes. No, there's no vent holes on the sides. Or if you strap it down, you mean? No, that's okay. The vent holes on the bottom are extra. The vent holes on the top are better, you know, so. I get it, no doubt, but yeah. Okay, let's hook this up. Yeah. Heat rises, of course, but there's still heat is generated on both sides of the PCB. But these are rated as they are while lying flat on the desk, so that, you know, that's no problem. Is this okay? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's get some analog strips, which might still be connected to another board. You still get to see some diff power. This is it's connected to the wrong buck converter. That's why it's so odd. This is the Diff-Power Receiver-RGBCCT. So this is basically kind of the same thing as a Dig-to-Analog Plus, but then for the Diff-Power system. So that in the Diff-Power system you can choose to have analog or digital outputs per output. Okay. And we have another LED strip here, which is connected to another one. Well, I can talk about this one too. So basically it has the same function. It takes in power, but then it has a giant buck converter connected to it, converting it to 24 volt in this case. And then it outputs analog. But since it's analog, I actually also have the return signal. So in the Diff-Power system, you'll be able to daisy chain these boards with multiple, just like a Dig-to-Analog plus, yeah. Yeah, I've made lots of progress there, Timothy, but the voters have voted for Dig Next and Dig-to-Analog Plus. So I don't think we'll be able to look at that today. We've already passed the 2-hour mark, so yeah. Yeah. So let's get some cables. Oh, oh no. Yeah, no, I've made big progress there. I'll show it as a secret at the end of the stream, how the boards look now, but we won't be testing them today. Sorry. Now, I don't know what state this board is in. There's no red tape on it, so it should at least provide basic function. No, there's no live stream tomorrow. Oh, we need to use the socket with the fuse. You would just have to make it flat instead of that hump and those screws. I'm not quite sure. Oh yeah, I get it for the Velcros. Yeah. Okay, we have power. So this can go to the side. Okay. I want the LED strips to come out of the right. So here you can clearly see on the PCB how it's labeled, which wire goes where. These wires are a bit long, so I'm going to fold them in a little bit. Oh, did I open these? I did. There might be a dig to go at some point that does that. I still find USB-C a bit limiting. I wish I could build in proper not 48, maybe, but proper 24 volt support. But currently, any power supply that you can buy that's USB-C and does like 28 volt out is like 3 times more expensive than a normal power supply. So that's building a solution for, I'm not sure what it's for, to use a USB-C plug. Yeah. But there are some out there now which do 5 and 12 volt at least. And that's neat. I might do that at some point. But I can only spend so much time on development. And for now I'm focusing on DigNext and Diff-Power. And some other stuff like EU regulations to get the boards in the local shops and things like that. Actually tested. But yeah. No, 12 volt would be also limited to 3 amps. So that would make sense, except that only when using WS2811. If you're using WS2815, you're better off using 5 volt instead of 12 volt, because you'll actually get less far than further. Hey there, Pepsi, or Kiwi Christmas. So that's why it just isn't there yet. I can build it, but if you're moving beyond a simple LED strip, you need something else than a higher voltage. You need more power injections. Doesn't matter what voltage you're running. So then I'd rather design a controller that takes a normal power supply in, than uses USB-C, which doesn't solve a problem in that sense. Still, I'll probably make it at some point, but yeah. That's okay, Rich. Thanks for hanging out over here. Let's see. Are these correct? Plus, data, minus. Yep. Good. Almost there. Yeah, I like using wire ferrules. These new terminals will do with and without, but I like using wire terminals. Okay, let's hook up this one to this one. So black is actually positive. I also didn't put ferrules on these, but Okay, that's good. And then we'll go with red first. Wow, that's squished. Okay, there, better. Now, this isn't so much a capacity test or something like that. Oh, no, this is bad. These wires are kind of mangled. Need to fix that. Nope. Yeah. I mean, on RGBCCT, I kind of get it. Black is no color, and all the other colors are used. So, but it's still annoying. Last one. These are so tiny. No copper whatsoever. Don't like that. Okay, let's try and put them in without ferrules, and if I'm too annoyed, I'll get ferrules. Yeah, green for data and white for ground is pretty normal. The smoke finally reached California. Your eyes are watery. Sorry about that. Get the little hairs in there. Okay, that's all. No! Why? Stupid non-ferrule connections. No, BTF lighting is pretty good normally. Let's see if it's in there now. Yes. Okay. Okay, that's in there. Good. Man, these tiny little wires. Okay. Second one, and then we can turn it on. This has a little bit better wires. Did I open these yet? Yes. Good. Okay, let's start with red. Green, no. These have 6 wires, 5 negative side wires for the color channels, and then 1 for positive. Come on. Okay, almost there. Good. Okay, we now have 2 RGB-CCT analog strips connected. We have our digital controller, which sends out fused power, and then a digital signal to the first board, which then outputs it as a pixel to this whole LED strip. And then we have a second board, which is connected in series, which then connects it to this LED strip. So let's, did I wire this up to the correct power supply? No, I did not. Damn it. These are not 12 volt, these are 24 volt, I think, yes. So I need to rewire that. To this guy. Now you can see why I hooked up something to 48 volt, which I shouldn't have this week. Well, no, 12 volt to a 24 volt strip, that's not a problem. Let's see. Yep, that's good enough. I need this wire. And not this one. Power on. So this is a bit boring test because this is just testing boards off of the production line to see if they actually do what they should do. So let's put them like that. V set 24, not 48. Damn it. 6 amps. Yeah, go. Okay, good. Yeah, well, 2 output channels are off because there's no fuse in there. This one is on, that's good. Let's see what IP I got. 120. There, so let me demonstrate that I can turn this off, in theory. Yep, there it goes. And I can turn it off. Configuration. WS2805. RGB. Yeah, that's all good. Is it connected to... I'm not sure which data output we have. Let's see. In theory, they should be orange, and I'm not seeing anything. Let's see if the boards are on. Yeah, the boards are on. Let's see if the switch is correct. The switch is correct. Okay, the fuse is in there. Good. Maybe I'm using the wrong data output. Let me check. Let's change that to the other one. Ah, okay. I was sending out data on the wrong data output on the board. Okay. There. Okay. So now we have individual control over these rolls. Let's see if all the colors work. Red, green, blue, no color, white channel, warm white. Oh, this one, no, this is cold white. Did I hook it up wrong? Cold white. Okay, the warm and the cold are reversed. I'm not sure I can actually... Oh, I swapped it. Sorry, my bad. Save. So now, warm white, cold white. Good, yes. Okay, that all works. Nice. So if I do blends, for instance, with no white. Let's turn it down a little bit. And the nice thing is, because this is the Dig2Analog Plus, it has the 4 kHz PWM. So even when they're turned down low like this, on my 60 FPS camera I'm using, with my shutter speed set to 125, this looks perfectly non-PWMing. I can even turn it up. And yeah, that looks great. Yeah, in WLED, well, I set it to 30 pixels long, but yeah, basically in WLED, I have a WS2805 strip with 2 LEDs, and each of these is an LED, and then you can, chain along more and more boards if you need more and more channels. Yep. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Seth. Yeah, but it's about expectations and sales in that sense. Um, if I don't expect to sell thousands, it's hard to make a case for them, especially if it needs to be injection molded. For the AN Penta Plus, I tried using extruded aluminium in a different way with the PCB end plates and things like that, just to try that route. So maybe more products will go that route in the future. But especially for a product like this, it's a bit difficult to do because it has connectors on all sides and things like that. So then, yeah, for now that's 3D printed. If there's a real demand for it, I can of course design it and make it, because then I can just use the same circuit but then on a different board. But then there needs to be the demand basically. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, so the metal case alone costs like $4 or $5. So that's a heavy cost in product development. And it adds in shipping weight and all kinds of stuff. But I wanted to make a basically the best analog dimmer I could at that point. And I think that came out great. But yeah, it all has its costs and its balance in that sense. Can you control and change color individually? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, on these, yeah, per board. Basically, currently it's one segment. I can show you that. Let's hide. Let's do this. This one, and then let's add browser. So if we're in WLED, currently it's set. Everything is just a single segment. So we have a segment here from 0 to. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. From 0 to 50. Oh, I need to check if my PC is not overloading, because in the past it would overload at this point. But it seems the new GPU is doing its work. Nice. So let's say this is 0 to 1. Update. So now only this one is working. And then let's add a new segment and say this is 1 to 2. Update. Okay, and now this one is doing the blend effect. Fine, let's leave it doing that. We deselect that one. And let's make this one do the blink effect, or fade. I like fade better. And let's do it in, I don't know. No. Green. Let's go to the first one. And let's make that do fire flicker. I don't know. That's a bit weird, but... So yeah, now we have two segments. This one is doing the fade in green, and this one is doing fire flicker, which is a stupid effect. Strobe. It's a stupid effect too. I don't know what effect to give it. I don't know. Color loop. There. Yeah, I know what some of those prices go for. I recently looked at Lockzone, for instance, and what they charge per item is totally insane. I just don't want to be I don't want to do the same thing, and I also don't have the support capabilities those people deliver for that, for instance. Yeah. So yeah, individual control, no problem. You can make them do individual effects or per group or whatever. You can connect them all to the same data line. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. But if a builder or a intermediate company would approach me I can certainly work on that with them, either with existing hardware or even custom designed hardware. Now, there are minimum order quantities for that, but yeah. Yeah, and even let's make this solid, this one, and let's say we don't want color, but we want warm white. There. So now this one is just doing warm white, and this one is doing the fading in green. Oh, Seth, yeah, I realized that. The next live stream, but I don't know when it will be, maybe in a few weeks, will be probably then stress testing Diff-Power. That is the system I want for my home. Watch out for that. Is there a max distance between the strip and the board? Not so much, and as long as you size the wires correctly, it shouldn't matter. Although it's 4 kHz PWM and it's advised to keep the wires short. Yeah. Data-wise, it has a 33R output resistor and a fairly decent LED data signal, so 5 meters or even more is likely no problem between these boards. Sure, Seth. Reach out to me on Discord, and we can always see what we can do. I am bound by minimum order quantities and things like that, but you know, sometimes something might be possible. Who knows? The max wire size for terminals, these are again rising. Let me get another one. Yeah. These are again rising clamp terminals. So they have a little clamp. These are the production boards, so they have Phillips screws instead of flat ones, which I hate. But these work the way that they have a... that's not going to focus at all, is it? Move away. There. No, almost. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a bit hard to see. But they have a little plate that moves up and down. So that's why it works well with ferrules and it works well with bare wire. And yeah, they're pretty big. So let me get some... do I have some examples here? Yeah, probably. No. Yeah, what's this? Well, this is a weird size. Hold on. No. Oh, no. Yeah. No. Damn it. Okay, we can test this. These I was looking for. This is, I think, 14 gauge. Yeah, 14 AWG. Come on. Okay, there. 14 gauge. Yep. And let's see if we can get that into the terminal comfortably. Now, all these terminals are the same, so it doesn't matter which one I use. But yes, let's just use the plus and the minus. I don't have a set price for these yet. They will be more expensive than the normal dig to analog. For now, both products will also keep existing. Might not always be the case in the future, but yeah. But I don't have a set price yet. Okay, yeah. So this is a 14 gauge with a ferrule, right? You can see the ferrule. And that, you know, that fits easily, or rather, easily enough. Yeah, so that's 14 gauge with a ferrule, pretty easy. I'm not sure 12 gauge would fit with a ferrule, but probably without a ferrule, 12 gauge would fit too. Right, but that's a neat, good, perfect connection there. Yeah, if you want lots of channels, these will absolutely do it for main lighting. Yeah, no problem. Need to watch out these aren't getting too hot. No, that's fine. So yeah, 14 gauge with a ferrule, good. Let's say 12 gauge without a ferrule. Yeah, and that's about it. If you need bigger, then you need a bigger terminal, like I'm using on the Dig Next. That has a 6.35 input terminal, so that will take 12 gauge with a ferrule, and then maybe 10 gauge without. But yeah, it's also a thing I don't understand from other products. They'll say, product does 16 amp, but you're never going to get a wire in there that does 16 amp, so... but then they also have a 16 amp fuse, because, you know... Okay, I'll stop. Yeah, pricing I need to figure out. That's generally one of the things I do in the last step, because I try to design on features less so than price, because I design what I want the board to do. Of course, I do keep price in mind somewhat. Like I said, if I design a digital LED controller with 2-channel and I make it $80, well, it'll be a great product, but just nobody's going to buy it, right? Because they want to buy the $20 LED controller and then get 4. So there's always a balance between price and features. But I try to strike a good balance there, and yeah, tend to go for feature more and functionality than bottom price. But yeah. So I've already tested during prototype staging that this can now do the amount of amps, and also on the single channel stuff like that. This has been working great. This was more of a, I got the production boards, but I haven't checked them out yet kind of thing. 26-hour print, 7 print plates, let's go. What? Oh, Draadstahl chose the controller that won't burn your house down. That's good. Let's go full brightness. Oh, yeah. It's drawing. It's fading all up and down. So let's go solid here too. 1.86 amps, 44 watts. Oh, also a thing I tuned heavily on these boards. I'm going to WLED brightness 2. Is that too much? Let's see. Do I have everything maxed out? Okay, for this LED strip, can I go to 1? Yeah. So this is the main brightness slider of WLED set to 1. It doesn't go any lower. And you can see the LEDs are just barely on still. And on this one, we had white enabled, but they're off. So let's see, I need to go to 2? No? 3? Still no. Wow. 5? What's going on? 9? Oh, okay. So with 9, they start to glow slowly. But that's the difficult thing of tuning analog strips or analog controllers. They're, you know, each strip is different. As you can see, even with 1, this one would light up. We can do, let's make it no color. Oh wait, I need to, wait. I don't want this, I want this, and then this. So, yeah. Oh, it's the whites that need a little bit more power to turn on. So it depends on each color. But even if you look at this, they are on. You can barely see they're on, but they're on. So it goes down to a very low level, up to the full brightness with no PWM. Nice, Draadstaal. I appreciate that. Oh, right. I was going to say, let's go to the face, but we were still going to do a reveal. Let's turn off the power. Somebody asked about Diff-Power, so we'll use the new Diff-Power stuff as the secret. The secret. Okay. So let's move this out of the way. Go back here. So, as I mentioned, showed already, we have this board. And we have this board. This one again. More of this one. Okay. More of this one. So these three are the same. I just didn't have enough of these buck converters, so I mounted them on a bigger one in reverse. But those are 5-channel analog outputs, as you can see here. Basically like this one, but then for the Diff-Power system. And these are digital outputs, and in this case they're hooked up to some buck converters. This one is a 5-volt 6-amp output, and this one is a 24-volt 5-amp output. So it's the same board, and you can pair it with 5, 12, or 24-volt output buck converters, so that you can run a fully mixed system with analog 12-volt or 24-volt, or digital 5, 12, or 24-volt, all mixed into the same system, and connected to this guy, which is the latest prototype. And this is it used to be a Sender-8, but it's now a Diff-Power Sender-7, which is in the Dig-Octa power board form factor. So a Dig-Octa brain board slots on top, and you can then route the LED channels you want to use to this board. You could even use 2 brain boards and then route some channels of that brain board and some channels of the other brain board to the inputs here. And then that will be outputted over these UTP cables, which can be, let's say, up to 100 meter, because they carry data and power. You connect a 55-volt power supply to the power board, and then it also powers the controller board, the brain board. And a feature that was recently added is that there is an I2C connection between the brain board and the sender board, which can logically enable and disable each channel. So that kind of works as a built-in relay, because if you have this guy 30 meters away somewhere connected to 300 LEDs, even when they're off, they will still use power. So with the enable feature, you can turn off each channel individually. Still needs some softer support in WLED and things like that, but basic functions already work, so that you can actually turn off the whole remote board completely, so that it doesn't use any power anymore when it's off. So yeah, I thought that would be a great feature to add. Yeah, and that's basically the Diff-Power system. You send 55 volt over a UTP cable to one of these receiver boards, and then you can power digital 5, 12, 24 volt strip, analog 12, 24 volt strip, mix that in a system, and you have basically a whole house or set up whatever controller system where you don't have to worry about cabling anymore. Right now, if you have a 5-volt controller and you want to have that in your garage or whatever, and your LEDs are 10 meters away, you need like this kind of cable and then 10 meters of it to power it. While with this stuff, you just hook up a UTP cable and you're done. Yes, it is compatible with the multi-relay user mod. Yes. So for instance, if you want to run some props in your garden, you just run a single UTP cable to each prop. You still need a box there, but that box will only have this piece inside. It still has a fuse there just for extra protection, although normally the sender board also has fuses, so it's basically double protected. Yeah, and this is the only thing you need remotely, so there's no controller in your yard anymore. You can keep everything in the garage and just use UTP cables that are made to length or whatever to run the data and the power over there. So how far you can go is dependent on how much you need. Each port can deliver about 100 watts. But the longer you make the cable, the more voltage drop you'll still have on the cable, even though we're using 55 volt. So let's say up to 25 or 30 meters, you can use the full 100 watt, no problem. But if you have a 50 meter cable, you might only be able to use 90 watts effectively. And if you have a 100 meter cable, you might only be able to use 70 or 75 watts effectively, because the rest will be consumed in voltage drop, basically, because each of these output ports of each of the pairs are power limited on the sender side, so that if something goes wrong and there's a short circuit somewhere, the sender, which is sending the power outward, like I explained before also, should protect that wire, which, well, it does. So if you only need 50 watts of power, which, 5 volt 6 amps, so you can run a 300 LED strip with a single injection, which most people do, that's only like 20-25 amps, or maybe 30 amps, but generally it will use max 20 watts. So if you only need 20 watts, you could probably run a 200 meter cable, or how many feet is that? 600 feet? I don't know. And it'll be fine. It'll work great. Later, Soren. Good night. Well, that was the secret. So, lots of work being done on this guy. I'm not yet sure when I'll be able to release it, but it's getting closer to release for sure. I think for phase 1, as I'll call it, that's these boards, you will have to buy the buck converter from AliExpress or Amazon or whatever separately, because they would be too expensive for me to ship, and I can't get much better prices than you can yourself, right? So I don't think then it makes sense. Maybe I can, maybe not. We're still looking into that. But yeah. But I'll always support you buying them directly to cut out the middleman, which would be me in that case, to just get it cheaper. Yes. Oh, I do have recommendation for buck converters, but it depends on for what. Yeah, they're heavy and they're bulky, so these are all from XWST. They are also a shop on AliExpress, and you can find them there. And you need to get the right type. I'll have all of that described in an article once this is all out, etc. And then, yeah. I think he's okay there, Christian. But yeah, so the first wave will have external buck converters and are for more like high power stuff. So these are up to 5-6 amp. Also 24 volts, so that's already 100 watts. So then you don't need more than this. But if you need more, there will also be larger boards. Do I have one here? Yeah. So if you want 5 volt, with 100 watts coming in, you can do almost 20 amps. So then you need, this is still a much more rough prototype. Then you need a bigger board, which also gets the power in here and has the buck converter connection. That's for these buck converters. They mount underneath or on top, whatever you want. And then you have multiple output terminals because it's 5 volt, right? Up to, again, 100 watts individually fused on this side. Yeah. But that's all still external buck converters. Then in phase 2, I want to introduce more receiver boards and integrated buck converters, so that you, for instance, have a this is called a receiver-Dig-Medium. That's a large, but there will also be a mini and maybe even a nano where you can select 5, 12 or 24 volt on the board, and the buck converter and everything is integrated into the board, so you don't have to buy an external thing anymore, etc. But I'm not sure I'll be able to make that effectively with the same output currents, right? Because these buck converters, and especially like these are not this size for without a reason. So at some point it doesn't make sense to create the same thing. If I need to include all this heat sinking and everything else, then an existing product is fine. But if I only need like 2 or 3 amps and I can make a really small receiver board without needing anything external for that, well, that's very interesting. But I need to pick a point, release the system, and then work on it to improve it and have more options, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. Hope that makes sense. And I want to have this available before the current or the 2025 holiday system, so that like in September or August you can get all this stuff and base your new Christmas setup or things like that around this. That is the idea. Yes, all existing brain boards will be compatible, no problem. This is actually a version 1 release 0 brain board. Still works fine. Yeah, well, I just like describing products, what they do. And for Dig Octa, that's a brain board and a power board. It's perfectly clear. They're good names. And, you know, why should I call them something else? Yeah, bar night was early. Maybe you had to visit like a few bars. I don't know. So, that was an exciting stream. We did actually manage to blow something up. I will try and fix this at some point. I don't know when. But I'll try and replace that DC-DC converter and see if that brings the board back to life. But yeah. Yeah, in the new studio, I'll improve that, Gary. Generally, it's okay over here. Maybe I didn't place the microphone correctly today, but it's already on sound dampening and everything. But yeah. Yes, Don, absolutely. They're like $8 a piece for 1 amp. That's not the price bracket I'm in. If you're building a car, awesome. Yeah, no. Thanks, Medved. Nice for quick developments. Well, this has taken a while, but yeah. Yeah, so the analog boards, those can indeed be daisy chain set. So they have an input and an output board port. Yeah, at some point you will be power limited. That is absolutely correct. But the idea is if you have like multiple 1 meter strips, or you have several downlights in your ceiling, you will be able to connect multiple downlights to a single board, or you'll be able to connect a single board to a downlight each and then control those individually. But like in my new home, I will have downlights in my ceiling that are 24 volt compatible. So I'll use Diff-Power to have a single UTP cable run there. And then often I'll have a group of 4 or 6 lights. And I don't need to control those 4 or 6 lights individually. So I'll connect all of those to a single board. And then I'll daisy chain another group that is maybe in the same ceiling, which again has 4 to 6 lights, and then maybe another, to the same cable that's going back to the central board. And then I can still control those groups individually, just not every light. If you do want to control every light individually, that's possible too, but then you need a board per light. But that makes for a very flexible system in my opinion. But yeah, in the end it's limited to 100 watts for the whole chain, but 100 watts can still produce a good amount of light, yeah, especially if you spread that out over multiple lights, etc. But sadly, I can't really do that for the digital stuff, because if you run an LED strip, the end likely won't be near this controller, so I don't have the output that I can then daisy chain, right? But for analog, I can certainly do that. And for now, for phase 1, it's going to be constant voltage. Now, there are some constant voltage options nowadays. I have some coming in to test, and we'll do that on a live stream too, etc. But in the end, I do want to make constant current boards, but that's a bit more difficult, which you can also daisy chain, and then you can basically control all the downlights, etc. Yeah. Awesome, Chris. Yeah, have fun with that. I don't have any receivers planned right now that are potted or waterproofed for outdoor use. No, but you can get a waterproof case for them then, I guess. Sure, Amon. Yeah, I've thought about that before, but I've done some before. They're generally a bit slow. And then Discord is often much better to actually answer questions and discuss than a YouTube live stream. But maybe at some point in the future again, sure. Yeah. Okay, well, we've approached, let's see where we are. We are at 2 hours and 58 minutes, so I'll wait until the 3-hour mark, and then this live stream is done. Disconnect my thermal camera. So that streaming on screen of the thermal camera is better than looking on the display during the stream, at least. But I'd want to make it wireless. This thing has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and in theory it supports wireless streaming of that video data, but I don't think the firmware is working yet, so we'll have to wait for that. Cool, have fun with that, Mike A1821. Any more questions? You have 1 minute left. What effect are you running behind you? Oh, I can tell you. My garage wall... Uh-oh. Not enough memory to open this page? What? What? Okay, chat's back. Good. My garage wall is set to Meteor Smooth, and then Color Gradient, and then set to Red. And there are 4 50 centimeter 144 LEDs per meter strips. No problem, Greg. It was fun. What 24 downlights are you going to use? I found a supplier on Alibaba. There's lots of rebrands of those being sold, but I found the supplier directly. And I'm getting various types from them, which I hope to test. And yeah. And there's going to be some single color, some CCT, some RGBW, and even some RGBCCT. So that's going to be interesting. Okay, well, we've hit the mark. Yeah, I need to test them first, but then certainly if I like them, I will absolutely share that. Yes, Dradstal, install is still on 14.2 until 0.15.1 is out of beta. It's currently on beta 2, and that should resolve the multi-channel output bug, and then we'll update the installer. Yeah, Discord is best for tech questions there, Gary. Just open a topic, and me or some other people will reply. Yeah, there is a reason. There's a multi-channel bug in the current 15 release and some other issues, and that's why we actually rolled back the installer, because it was creating more problems than it was solving. So you can still manually update with a generic WLED version. There's nothing special about our builds except some pre-configuration. But then you have to go to the pinout page and set all the settings yourself. So yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for watching. I hope to see you guys back in another live stream, in the comments, in a video, or on the Discord server. And as I said, the next few weeks are going to be a bit different, but I'll try and make a stream or a video when I can. And, well, I hope to see you guys there. Bye-bye.